we're going to jump right into this. Let me talk about a couple things though. You know, I got a couple of roller heads here. I just wanted to show you, and look at the difference between these. This is the nap of the roller. They call this the nap thickness. Now this is about 1.5 inch nap thickness roller, and this is used to get into, say, like brick walls or very textured surfaces, because it's going to get into those cracks and crevices. So it's also going to leave a texture on the wall, a paint texture. They call that orange peel, by the way. This is about 1.5 inches. This is probably about a 3/4 inch nap roller, so you can see it's a little smaller. It's going to leave less of a texture. This is a 3/8 inch nap. And this is what we like to use for base coating our walls for stenciling, because it's going to leave a smoother finish, and a smoother finish is going to allow for tighter lines in your stenciling print. Just think about it. If it's a bumpy surface or a textured surface, it's more difficult to get a straight line for your stenciling of your open areas in your stencil. So you want your base coat smooth. So on that note, I got a couple little holes over here. Before we go, we've got a couple of patch fillers here, different ones. Just going to talk about them for a minute. I know I've addressed this in other episodes. This is a very lightweight, fluffy hole filler. We call it fluff. This is more of a heavy duty, can be used for exterior, this ready patch. We use it many years in doing exteriors. This is just your basic spackle, medium weight spackle. I'm going to use this one right now. Because it's smooth, it's easy to work with, and it takes a little longer to dry, say, than the fluff, but I've got some time, so it's all right. So I'm going to take a spackle knife and a putty knife, and I'm going to put it on like that. See what I got going here? And then come on over here. You see these little chips here? See this one here? I think you do. So I'm just going to take this, going to grab a little bit, and I'm going to float that, catch the edges. I got another little one here, so I'm going to hit it. Now it may shrink a little bit, so you may want to come back and give it a second coat, but at the end of that, you're going to give it a sanding with a really light sanding with 120 sandpaper, and then a light dusting. And if it's flat paint, you really don't have to prime it. When you have sheens, when you have a semi-gloss or a high gloss, you really need to use a primer to isolate the porosity, how porous those repairs are. But with a flat paint, because the sheen is flat, we really can just go right over that with our flat paint. And we really like to stencil on a flat sheen, flat painted surface. I like Benmore Ben. It's a good price point. It's a great quality product. You get it at your Benmore dealer. It's the Ben line. And we also, I like to stencil in the Bens too. So I'm going to be stenciling today with a little bit of Ben. This is, I think it is dark royal blue on Navajo white. So we've got our repairs done. I'm going to mask this little section here down here. So if you come down here with me, I've already masked out some other areas. Got my 5 tool, got my tape. Now look, you can even see that a lot of times you can rip your tape in the angle it needs to be to actually get it started, so it's easy and you don't have to really mess with the corner. So look at that, I've ripped that at a 45-degree angle. I've got that right in there. I'm using 2-inch blue painter's tape here. 2 inches gives you a little bit more room. You can use 1.5 inches too, you gotta be a little more careful. So, and when I burnish, and it's called burnishing, is when you press the tape down. That's burnishing the tape. When we burnish the tape, really burnish just the edge, and then I just kind of lightly tack it down in other areas so I don't risk removing the finish when I pull the tape. That's a concern. You don't want to leave the tape on too long. Don't leave it on for 2-3 weeks. You're going to have more difficulty in removing that. Okay, let's jump back up. So we've got our hand-drawn chevron designed by Janna, very popular chevron style. So what we're going to do is, when we're doing a room, what we want to do is start in a place where we can do a full column, floor to ceiling, uninterrupted. Don't start underneath a window. Don't start in a corner. Don't start where the ceiling angle is crazy or angled. Start somewhere where you can get one beautiful column, and then we build left and right. Really the best way to go. I've got my little step stool here. So I'm going to take this chevron and I'm going to place it up at the top. I've got my stencil level here, which is a great tool and allows me to level the stencil each time. And this way I don't have to pull out a big bubble level and a pencil and be messing around. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to bring it up to the ceiling line. And while I have it here, I'm going to look down at my bubble level. I'm going to get it to where it needs to be, which is dead center between the lines. And pull it up just a little bit. And this is going to make it so much easier for us as we move the project along, because I always have a reference to level. So notice that I'm using 8 pieces of tape here. Listen, you don't really necessarily need spray adhesive. You can put a little spray adhesive on the back. It's only going to give you slightly tighter edges, but the roller itself, the dense foam roller, does push the stencil down. So as long as you're stenciling with a dense foam roller, you don't necessarily need spray adhesive. Okay, so we're leveled, we're placed, we have an area where we can do a full column coming down. Let's get some paint rolling here. I've got this little tray. Here's a little trick. You can take a plastic bag. That can be your tray liner. Really kind of a nice budget way and a nice way to use the plastic bags. Paint, you can shake. Clear coat, you cannot. We do not want to incorporate bubbles in clear coat. So if you're clear coating, you stir that from the bottom. We've been going over that a couple times. I use this part of my 5 tool to open this up. There we go. Just be conscious of where your paint is, and you work very clean, just like me. Okay, take your paint. I have a brush handy. I'm going to pour my paint in, enough to get going. I'm going to wipe the rim of the paint can. Keep that clean so your paint lid seals and your paint doesn't dry out. Also, I have the little bag here with a wet paper towel inside. I can place my brush in there. This will keep my brush wet for my project. Very good trick. Okay, so I've got my paint. I've got my flat paint, that is, my dense foam roller. I've got my folded paper towels here. Let's move these out of the way here. Oh, and by the way, since we're close, let me show you this. This is the Top Edge Stencil. This comes with a lot of our all-over stencils, and it just makes it a little easier to do that inch or two at the very top. I'm going to show you how to do that probably in the next episode or two. Okay, so here's our paint, here's our roller, and we've been over this many times. Load your roller as evenly as possible so it doesn't have stripes in it, because those stripes are only going to end up on your wall. So now I get my roller loaded. I offload it a little bit here, but then I go to the paper towels. And I'm going to load it a little bit more. And offload it a couple of times on the paper towel until you have a roller that looks like this. Slightly dry. Now we're going to come back up to the wall here. Come on over here. We're level. We're starting at the crown. We're going to work our way down. I'm going to use a light to medium pressure, and I'm going to start to build up my coverage. We've talked about this many times. We don't want to try to get full coverage in one pass with your roller. You want to slowly build it up. Your roller's loaded now at its fullest, so you want some of that paint to come off before you start pushing down harder and adding more pressure. Now you see these areas here, these two little sections here? This is our built-in alignment. That's going to allow us to move this left and right and have something to line it up against. It's really a wonderful system. It's a wonderful system, so there's no guesswork. You just line it up with these previously painted areas and you stay perfect level horizontally and vertically with your stencil level. Okay, so I'm going to build this up. We're going to show you how to do corners. Corners are really interesting. There's quite a few different ways that you can approach a corner. One being where you just really bend the stencil into the corner and try to wrap it. Another way is where you mask off the adjoining wall. Okay, I'm building it up here. Let's see if I can get it rolling. And then we're going to drop it down if we have time. You know what? I'm going to add a little more paint here, so right back down here for a little bit more paint. Offload, 1, 2, a couple times. Dry roller, back up here. Light pressure. Now, of course, we're going dark blue over white. It's going to take a few passes here, but I'm going to pull this now so you get to see what we got going on here, and I'll try to line it up really quickly. And here we go. I'm going to pull this now and show you what we've got, and I'm going to drop it down. Okay, that's that. Now watch this. See this? And you see that? I line that up with the previously painted areas. I check my bubble level, and I am ready for the next print. This is how easy it is. This is how fast it goes. Thanks for tuning in.